9 seasons have come and gone here in Fortnite Battle Royale, and now here in Season X, things are bigger and, I would say better, but before I'd be able to finish that sentence, I'd probably have a mech shooting 10 rockets at me. So instead we'll just say Season X is bigger and weirder than ever before, and of course with a brand new season, all season long we are going to see some brand new surprises and secrets revealed to us, including probably the one thing that most players are looking forward to, that being the next major one-time event. For the last few seasons, we've seen that the events are getting crazier and wilder as each new one comes and goes, and this time around with how Season X has started so far, I really wouldn't be all that surprised if our next event is something that literally no one expects to happen. However, seeing as we're only about a week into the season as of right now, not even actually, we don't really have any indication as to where things will be going from here, as the storyline has not really started developing as of yet. But we know once it does, we're gonna see the map evolve in some pretty crazy ways thanks to the whole time warp thing we've got going on right now. So while we wait to see where exactly we are headed for the remainder of Season X, let's take a look back at some of the most iconic things to ever happen in Fortnite Battle Royale history. The live events, as today we're taking a look at all of the live events in Fortnite leading up to Season X. So to start things off for today, I am going to toss in a little honorable mention because although this was not an actual live in-game event, it did spark the craze that is the Fortnite storyline, as well as the weekly map progression which led up to the first official event. And of course, what I am talking about here is the meteor crash that happened at the end of Season 3 and the start of Season 4. So that is our little honorable mention for today, and it just so happens the meteor is now back on the map as well, so I think we've just about come full circle. However, we then get to our very first live one-time event in Fortnite Battle Royale history, that being the rocket launch. Now, at the time the rocket launch was occurring, we had never seen anything like this done in Fortnite before, or really even in gaming before either. And because of the originality behind the rocket launch, it was one of the biggest events in gaming history. All season long, we were following the hop rocks that were being collected and driven to one location in specific, just outside of Snobby Shores, near what was dubbed the villain lair that was located on the side of a mountain. And later on into the season, it became apparent that this villain lair was actually the rocket launch site where the Blockbuster skin would send the rocket into the sky. And, well, that is exactly what happened. As millions of players gathered around to witness the first event in Fortnite Battle Royale history, the rocket set off into the sky briefly before turning back towards the ground, aimed directly at Tilted Towers. However, just before impact, the rocket was rifted away very mysteriously. Everyone was very surprised by this. However, the rocket did then reappear only seconds later on the complete other side of the island. And then it was rifted away again and again and again before it eventually bursted out of Loot Lake and then seemingly ripped right into the sky through a massive rift that sent the rocket into oblivion. Oddly enough, the rocket somehow is now in the middle of the meteor. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but hey, it is what it is. That is a thing now, but I digress. At the end of the day, the rocket wasn't really able to do all that much damage to the island itself, and it also left Tilted Towers completely intact and a-okay. All around, the rocket launch was a pretty solid event. I'd give it like a nice 8 out of 10, alright, but really that is only the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. That was only the start of all the live events, and next up, we've got the lifespan of the cube. Now, a lot happened with the cube in general. First, it spawned in via the purple lightning that came from the rift that sent the rocket into oblivion, and right off the bat, we had no idea what this cube was doing, where it came from, or what it was meant for. But we didn't really need to know. Honestly, we still don't know most of that if I'm being honest, but that does not really matter. What does matter is that the cube started rolling around the map, alright, kinda out of nowhere. The cube was tumbling and stumbling all across the map. It went from the desert biome all over the island and eventually ended up at Loot Lake, where it slowly dipped into the lake, causing the entire area to turn into one giant bouncer, a giant purple bouncer to be exact, which, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty sweet in all honesty, but unfortunately it didn't really last all that long, as with the start of Season 6, the darkness rose as did the cube, and it came back to life in the form of the floating cube island, which was comprised of, obviously, the cube itself, alongside the center island that used to sit in the middle of Loot Lake. There was also this weird tornado-like vortex that kept the island and the cube afloat. And then shortly into Season 6, the floating cube island began traveling all across the map just like the original cube did, and it ended up corrupting all the various rune areas that were left on the map from the cube's original road trip across the island. And after all that was said and done, the cube island then floated its way back to the center of Loot Lake, where it literally combusted right before our very eyes, which briefly sent us into the butterfly dimension before returning us to the island where the only thing left of the cube was the chunks of it impaled into the center of Loot Lake. So that all happened, and then Season 7 came around, and with it, the iceberg biome and the dreaded Ice King, who all season long seemed like a pretty sketchy fellow. And it turns out, yeah, he was a pretty sketchy fellow, as later on into the season, we saw the Ice King actually try to freeze over the entire island in a blizzard dubbed the Ice Storm event, where the Ice King covered the entire map in ice and snow. But unfortunately, for the Ice King at least, it was not enough ice and snow, as the island really wasn't frozen for all that long. Only a few short days after the island was covered in ice and snow, things began to thaw out and the snow began to melt and retreat back towards the iceberg biome. And all of that melting was actually caused by the Fire King, aka the Prisoner, who would later summon the Volcano to come to the island at the launch of Season 8. But before Season 8 commenced, we also had another event go down in Season 7, that being the Marshmallow Concert, which actually saw a couple million live viewers attend the world's first ever virtual concert, which honestly was one of the coolest and best events in Fortnite history, if I do say so myself. Then next up we do get to Season 8, which featured a little 2-in-1 event with the Unvaulting and the Volcano Eruption. Now, this event started off with the hatch at Loot Lake, unleashing the Nexus Orb, which sent us into yet another alternative dimension that gave us the option to choose one item that was previously vaulted to return to the game immediately, hence the name the Unvaulting event. And of course, as we all know by now, the drum gun won easily. It was the clear favorite from the get-go. The spray and pray meta was just too strong to overcome, and so the drum gun pillar was chopped away and the weapon was unvaulted for everyone to use once again. But then, upon returning to the island, chaos was unleashed as the Nexus Orb and the Unvaulting event had triggered a volcanic eruption. We knew going into the event that the volcano was unstable as it was smoking and tossing embers into the sky, but then it really popped its top and went absolutely berserk for the official eruption event. The volcano ended up spewing out 3 major chunks of lava rock, one that hit Retail Row, completely decimating the entire area, one that hit Tilted Towers, once again destroying it completely, and then another one that hit Polar Peak, causing some damage but not enough to completely wreck it. That rock though did cause enough damage to wake up the beast within the iceberg, aka the Polar Peak Caddis monster, which would eventually break free of the iceberg and continue to stalk the islands for weeks to come. But the Fortnite inhabitants came prepared. They knew that the monster would return, so they built a giant mecha robot at the pressure plant to fight against the monster when it returned, and that is exactly what happens. The monster rose from the waters off the coast of the island with one goal in mind: destroy absolutely everything. And I mean, it tried, it was a decent attempt, but the robot was just too much to handle. Even though the monster was actually able to rip off one of the robot's arms, at the end of the day, the robot harnessed the power of the Nexus Orb from the center of Loot Lake and dealt a massive blow to the monster, knocking it away for just long enough to use the giant Singularity Sword to pierce right through the monster's head and take it out for good. Now, you want to talk about an epic victory royale, the mecha robot just got the biggest dub of 2019 in front of millions of spectators. And there you guys have it. That is every single Fortnite event in one video. And with that being said, that is effectively going to wrap things up for today. Definitely drop us a comment down below, letting us know which live in-game event you think was the best one in Fortnite history. Personally, I always thought the rocket launch was the coolest one that we'd seen, but I honestly think that the final showdown might have topped it last season just because of how big the event actually was from start to finish. Of course, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a like on it, give it a big old thumbs up, it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you are brand new here to the Simply Fortnite channel, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications turned on, that way you'll always know when we upload a new video. As always, by joining the notification squad, every single time we post a new video, YouTube will actually send you a message. That way you can be the first person to watch, like, and comment on each and every new upload. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and we'll see you guys on the battle bus. Peace out.